Hi, I'm Michael Waltrip, and welcome to today's show. We're off to Richmond International Raceway to visit with Paul Sawyer. He's the driving force behind this historic speedway. In 1955, he had a dream, and today that dream is a reality. This place is a monument to the man that had the courage and foresight to lay it all on the line. Paul Sawyer is one of the building blocks that helped spearhead the growth of NASCAR. He's a fascinating story, and right after this, we'll join Johnny Hayes and Paul Sawyer.
Mr. Paul Sawyer, one of the legends in motorsports, 80 years old. You look at the 70-year-old guys as high school boys, right?
You're right.
You've been here from the beginning.
Right.
How did you get involved in motorsports, just to start off, in the old days?
You really want me to tell you how?
Yeah.
Okay. During the period in the 50s, racing came along, and there was a couple of dirt tracks down in the Norfolk area that you ran your street automobile. Took a piece of rope and tied yourself in, and so I used to go and set up in the stands and a couple of beers and 2 or 3 drinks and have a good time and get the argument of who could drive a race car and who couldn't drive a race car. So I thought, I know daggone good and well this guy can drive a race car, and I tell you what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna buy one. So I did. I bought a flathead Ford Modified in 1950, okay, for $750, which was a lot of money. And I said, I'm gonna prove this guy can drive a race car. Well, there was a racetrack down there, and there was one here in Richmond, and there was 4 or 5 short tracks scattered all around everywhere. So I never will forget, it was a 37 Ford 2-door, slant back. Lock rear end, no quick change, no nothing. First race to come, the rear end tore up in it, came unlocked. Fixed it, second race, engine blew up. So I said, hell, this ain't a whole lot of fun, all right, a lot of work. So I said, man, we can't keep on this mess. I said, if we're gonna be in it, we're gonna be in it. So I called California and ordered a stroker assembly and bought a brand new block, not a used block, brand new block, and had it bored and really got into racing big time. Quick change rear ends, and I built them until 1958, I reckon. And then I got in the promotion business with Joe, and I didn't have time to promote with him. We had 3 racetracks, Richmond, Norfolk, and Wilson, North Carolina.
Now let me ask you about Joe Weatherly, one of the truly great guys in motorsports. I didn't get the privilege of knowing him. I've heard all the great stories about him. I've read about him, how funny he was, how much fun he had, and everybody loved him. How did you get involved with Joe Weatherly?
Well, I had known Joe back in his motorcycle days, when he was running motorcycles. And the guy that built his race cars had a shop on Virginia Beach Boulevard, and I had ended up and had a shop on the Military Highway. And we'd go back and forth, visit, you know, from one shop to the other. I'm over talking to Johnny Rhodes, who's now dead, was his mechanic and car owner. And so I got to traveling with Joe a lot. Daytona, and he bought a damn tri-pace airplane, learned how to fly it.
And what year is this?
55.
And you're riding in an airplane with Joe Weatherly. Yes. I'm sure he was cleared by the Federal Aviation people.
Good pilot, as long as we could find the railroad track.
You followed the railroad track?
Followed the railroad track. We had a sight if we were going to Daytona, we'd get on the railroad track and follow it down into North Carolina till we hit the water tank, and then we'd turn left and go on to Daytona. That's the way it was done in the old days.
Yeah.
And Turner was the same way. But anyway, they were the good old days of racing, and Joe was a fun guy. I mean, he was always full of the devilment. He was always playing some kind of jokes, and he'd go to a party and have one pair of pants on with a brown leg and a tan leg on this side, and of course he was well known when he drove a race car for his saddle Oxfords, and which he wore a brand new pair every year. And unfortunately, when he got killed in Riverside in '64, never did find but one of them. Nobody ever knows what happened to the other one. But down on the beach during the old beach road course days, I mean, it was really something like I tell people today that weren't fortunate enough to be back in that area. they missed the best racing it ever was, to see those guys go down between those palmettos down, going into the south turn on that old washboardy asphalt, and then go in the one turn, and it was a high sandbank, and hell, some of them wouldn't make it, right on, boom. And they'd come it around, and either they'd be running so fast when they come up, they'd run right on overboard.
Well, let me ask you this, and you're one of the people that can tell, and we're afraid that this is going to get lost somewhere along the line, and not many people knew these people closely. How was Fireball Roberts? Was he one of the really great race car drivers? You know, you were around Fireball Roberts. What would you have to say just summing up
you know,
Fireball?
when I go back and you stop and think, the Fireball, the Jack Smith, the Buck Baker, the Bob Welburns in the convertible division, you know, you go back to those days, the Herb Thomases, Lee Petty, and this was all in my time, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Those guys, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not saying this in detriment to the guys that are driving today, but those guys could drive on anything. Those guys drove on dirt, they drove on asphalt. These guys today, a lot of them, you put them on a dirt track and they'd be lost. They would be lost. There's no comparison to today's driver that's running nothing but asphalt and those guys. If you looked at that picture in my office, as Weatherly and Fireball and Junior sitting in the pagoda in Darlington, they didn't have on fire suits and all that stuff, but they ran Daytona.
Right.
Short sleeve shirts.
Right.
Helmets, no window. Maybe that's why Joe got killed. If he'd had a window and net in the side of the automobile, his head may not have hit that wall. Nobody will ever know. Just like Fireball, God bless him, he's dead and gone. That fire crash in Charlotte was the beginning of fuel cells.
Right.
Right? 1964. So that's a long time ago, you know, to see where it's gone today, safety factors. And I mean, I got to give NASCAR all credit for what they've done in proving that.
The 1952 Daytona Beach race saw a field of 61 cars take the green flag. With 20,000 people scattered along the 4.1-mile course, hometown hero Marshall Teague led all but the first lap in his fabulous Hudson Hornet to claim the $1,500 first prize. The race was shortened from its original 48 laps, or 196 miles, to just 37 laps. Where most tracks worry about rain or darkness today, there is one problem they don't have to concern themselves with anymore. This race was shortened due to a fast-rising high tide.
Paul, in the middle 50s, late 50s, there were so many great stories coming out of the places like Daytona that are legendary, and you don't know what we don't know if they're true or not true. You were probably a part of them. You may know, but one of the stories that we'd all heard that maybe Curtis Turner and Joe Weatherly put a mule in a hotel or did something. Was that a true story?
Yeah, there's been a lot of stories told. Down across from the Castaway on Atlantic Avenue was a bunch of apartments that they rented, you know, and people lived in it, but the hotel owned them. And speed weeks and all, well, a lot of the rooms, the crews and all that didn't stay in the big hotel, they stayed across the street. So one year, Turner and Weatherly had one, and there was a damn mule that was down behind the restaurant. And I never will forget it, and damn ruckus about 3 o'clock in the morning, they got the mule going up the steps into the hotel room. And I forget who it was, but then they like not to ever got the mule back down after they got him up there. Well, all kinds of shenanigans went on like that, and Turner and Weatherly, they had you drive it, and they'd race each other. And one night going down Atlantic Avenue, Turner spun Weatherly out down at the S-turn.
Just going...
Yeah, running
the highway.
70, 80 miles an hour, spun him out, and Joe done a 180 and backed into the hotel backwards. And I mean, it tore it back into the automobile. It finally got one time, they couldn't even hardly get her you drive it anywhere. 1959, we're riding with Welburn in a damn old 59 Buick, and they called it Joe Lewis. And Joe's driving, Welburn sitting in front, me and Turner sitting in the back. We were going to some club somewhere. And Joe, he's cutting on the back streets where Daytona's office used to be before they ever built a new speedway,
right.
Before they ever built a new office. And I don't know where we were going. And the policeman stopped Joe, locked him up. And you should have heard Welburn. He's sitting over on the right-hand side, Said, also, I told you, said, lock him up. I told him to stop driving like a damn fool. Exactly what, and the policeman locked him up.
Good. His buddy helped him out, right?
Buddy helped him out, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we called Chief Carr, who's still in Daytona today. And he and Joe were like that. They were buddies. And they let Joe use the phone, and Joe got Captain Carr on the phone. And he told me, he said, you let that boy out. You let him out. He's my buddy. So what was he doing? He said he was speeding. So was he drunk? I said, no, he wasn't drunk. He was just speeding. So they let Joe out.
Wasn't one of the rumors that they drove a car into a motel pool? Was that a true story?
Yeah, well, it was in the same week, same time slot, as I was talking earlier about Joe and Curtis racing down the road, and Curtis spun Joe out, and Joe done a 180 and backwards and backed into the motel down on it, and it's still there right today. That same motel is there at the S-turn on Atlantic Avenue. But Turner's the one that put the automobile in the swimming pool. I think him and Joe out halfway had a bet or a dare, and Turner put it in the swimming pool. And like I say, I've been with them, and I'm telling you, it was hard for them to even get you drive it, because they'd go down the road and they were crazy. I mean, fun, and they ride down the road like this, running set, and just pop each other like this. Welborn, all of them. I mean, it was a bunch, and if you didn't have, you either had to be half drunk or crazy to ride with them. Both of them are hell of a chauffeurs, both of them. But they just do it for damnness. And I said, you guys got to be crazy. I'm gonna stop even riding with you. And I said, well, I reckon if I fly an airplane with them, go with them in an airplane.
Yeah.
Might as well go and ride on the ground with them. But they do all kinds of crazy stuff. But Turner's the one who put the automobile in the pool. Joe didn't do it, but Joe got credit for part of it. But I think it was a dare or a bet or something. And I wasn't with him. I wasn't in the automobile.
You're innocent on this
I
one.
was innocent.
There's one story I've always been interested in. What was the story on the banana car? Where did the banana car come from?
The banana boat, that was one of Junior's, and Lorenzen was running, and I saw it in Atlanta. I happened to be there. And they had chopped the windshield and the top, and that's why I got the name of the banana boat. The damn thing looked like a banana. And of course, that was the end of it, that one race, and then they changed it. Everybody thought they should have kicked it out, but NASCAR ruled different. And it was painted yellow, just flame yellow, just like a banana. And they had the windshield, instead of being like this, was about like that, and the top was lowered. I mean, I could stand, and it was like here.
Right.
It would have crossed my belly button, but it was so low to the ground. But they let it run anyway, that one time.
Right.
And then they had to change it. They ain't gonna never stop cheating.
Right.
They're gonna try to.
Right.
And I can remember Richard Pettit said, fine, it's fine to cheat. And if you get caught, ain't no need to holler. If you get away with it, fine. Right. And I said, Richard, that's a good philosophy. And they're still cheating. And I'll tell him to his face, wasn't no bigger cheater on the circuit than Gary Nelson when he was crew chief.
Sure.
There ain't no bigger cheater than he was. And of course, that's why he's so sharp trying to pick up all the stuff that they do today.
In the early 70s, Chevrolet decided they wanted to get back in racing in a big way, and Mr. Howard at Charlotte Motor Speedway tried to pull together all you fellows and put it together. How did that happen?
Well, I think what he did to entice Chevrolet more, he wanted to put an automobile in there with a good chauffeur and prove that, that we needed another brand automobile running. So what he did, he contacted the promoters. To this day, I still don't know how many participated in it. But he needed X number of dollars to get this car built and have it where they could run it and run it competitive. So he came to all of the promoters, from what I understand. I know he came to me, and offhand, I don't remember right to the dollar. It was somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 that he was asking a promoter to help get Chevrolet back into the fold. Would we participate? And he was going to see that a competitive automobile was built, which he did.
Okay, Junior family built it.
Right.
Charlie Glotzback drove it.
Right.
And was it successful?
Yeah, it was successful. Very much so. Very much so.
Did it make Chevrolet want to get back in a bigger way?
I think all of us, or I did, I think Richard for all of the endeavor he put forth to get it to happen. I can thank him for getting Chevrolet back in the fold.
On lap 235, Ron Keselowski, number 88, comes in with a broken front wheel. Oh no, a spinner smashes the wall on the front straight. It's Charlie Glotzbach. He's out of the car and okay, but the Chevy fans just died on him. Charlie swerved to avoid a slower car and lost it near the wall. It was good day to the car that packed the stands, but you can bet this Chevy will be back to race another day.
Richmond is the only track on the Winston Cup circuit where all three generations of Petties have won races. The latest was Kyle in 1986.
So when we're talking about our great heroes, our legends, again, Fireball, Curtis, all the great historic names, they were really great dirt track racers, was their main emphasis, right? They were dirt tracks.
That's when they first got started. You take Tim Flock, Bonnie Flock, I mean, you know, when they drove for Keycafer and all, that was all dirt in the dirt areas. In fact, well, I won't even talk about it, but Gwen Staley's brother got killed here on the dirt. He'd had a bad operation and first lap coming down for the green flag. And he was taller than Enoch was. He was about 6'4", real slender, didn't have a seat belt, and got up on the wall, and the car made one roll, convertible, and he slipped over the seat belt and it crushed him across his chest. The only fatality I ever had here.
When you look back over it, what years have you enjoyed the most in NASCAR? Since you came in from day one and you own one of the best facilities in motorsports now, but for you personally, for fun, was there a certain period that you were the happiest?
Sure. In the late 50s, early 60s, until, God bless him, like I say, you know, Joe got killed, and Curtis got killed, and Fireball got killed, and I don't know, Welborn got out of racing, and I don't know, it just, all that old gang, you know, just all of a sudden.
All your buddies weren't there anymore?
Yeah, they got out of it. And, you know, like the days Cale, I can remember when Cale ran here, when he, and Earnhardt, they didn't have two nickels they could rub together, and God bless them, they're millionaires today, and I'm happy for them. Right. But what bothers me today, so many of them today, Johnny, forgot how they got where they are. And I'm serious about that. I mean, like I tell you, that they praise the fans and all, but they don't spend time with them like the old guys used to. And in the old days, the guys had a lot of time, the drivers and all did, and they mixed with the fans and they signed on. Today, it's hard to get it done.
Right.
And it needs to get back to that, because if it wasn't for the fans, they wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be here, the sponsors wouldn't be here. Get back to the grassroots, how it all got where it is today. Because it's now hard-nosed business. I mean, strictly dollars, and that's what counts. When I look back, and there's somebody that told me, even in 1988, when I opened this thing, that 9 years later, I'd be paying $1.5 million purse for one race. I said, you got to be out of your mind. But that's it.
Right.
And I don't know where it's going to go to. And fortunately, I mean, I saw the handwriting on the wall when I paved in '68. And then when I tore it down in '88, I saw the handwriting on the wall. And there ain't but one way to do it is do it with volume. And what I've done is try to do it with volume and keep the cost to the public down that come here. Instead of $90, $100 tickets, I tried to keep it down in a range that middle America, the blue-collar man with a wife and 2 or 3 kids trying to buy a home and an automobile, and he can't afford a lot of those times. And this is another reason why I call it fan-friendly. Children, 12 and under, on practice days, qualifying days, no charge, no charge. That's my future race fan.
Right.
Where am I going to get him from? I can remember the old days, the old grandstand. Richard Petty sat up there and signed autographs with kids sitting on his lap till it got dark.
Right.
Those kids got grown, and their kids still sat on Richard Petty's lap. I asked for autographs. So, I mean, where do you make it from?
Right. There's one thing I've got to tell you that everybody loves the most, and And I'm not sure why you did it from a business standpoint. I think I do after talking with you, but you've never charged for parking.
Back in the old days, and I've always felt this way, why are you going to make a man mad before you even get him inside? Whether it be Friday, or whether it be Saturday, or what, you know what I mean? At a general admission, why you want to stop him in the gate and collect money? And I saw it happen. I don't have to tell you where. 2 different places, and I saw the promoter and the assistants and everything out there collecting parking money, and I hollered at him. I said, how damn ornery could you people be? And I said, you know, so, like I say, the old mule's going to turn around and kick him sometime, and I think some of them it's already kicked. Why you want to make him mad? And when it comes to ticket prices, every time I raised the ticket prices here, which has only been twice, I gave him something. When I first started, I didn't have backs on all the seats, and all of it were not closed in. Today, every seat I got's got a back on it. Everything is closed in underneath. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Restrooms the same way. But I don't understand some of them. How greedy can you get?
Richmond International is a unique facility. 3/4 of a mile long, 14-degree bankings, grandstands all the way around it, holding up to 100,000 people. It's the biggest sporting event in the state of Virginia. But you know, the most important thing to Paul Sawyer is that the fans have a good time when they're at his racetrack. Richmond is a fan-friendly facility. Well, that's it for today's show. I think you'll all agree, with men like Paul Sawyer leading the way, the future of stock car racing is in good hands. I'm Michael Waltrip. We'll see you next week.
If you took the stopwatches away and the PA and didn't tell these people how fast they were running on the big racetracks, they wouldn't know. But I've always said, how was racing made? It was made on the short track. If we didn't have short tracks, how many guys could get in an automobile today and go to Daytona, Talladega and run 200 miles an hour without busting his family? In these short tracks, the guy gets seat time. Maybe he started at a go-kart to begin with and then moved into high-vis or late-model sportsmen. And if they'd done away with all these kind of tracks, where would racing go? Like I say, when you go back, if it wasn't for short tracks, there wouldn't be any big tracks. And the reason I built what I wanted, the economy ever changes, if anything happens to all the sponsors and all this stuff, and racing cutting, people start picking and choosing, I think, and the reason I built this, I think they come into Richmond.